I think you need to come to the high table. Next, I'll bring to the high table the for Public Affairs Center. Alhaja Alama Egbeyemi. The Deputy Director. Pure Heart Representative, Pure Heart Republic Foundation, there are Mariam Ayola. Come to the high table. That Rights Advocacy Initiative. And I also self representing National Muslim Women Union. Can you come to my is my name? For the record, the petition is however, we have 11 represented here. Federation of Muslim Women Association in Nigeria, Muslim Party Society, NASFA, the Criterion, Community Social Law, Society of Nigeria, Public Affairs Center, Impact, Pure Heart Islamic Foundation, Alumina Living Women Organization, National Muslim Women Union, and Ajabal Female Forum, and of course the leading organization, the Job Right Advocacy Initiative. Thank you for coming and wow. From one of our mothers. Alhaja Oshia Omeola give us our comment. Silence, please. Depending on what is our social care, our corporate, and making something that I will work and accept all that I do. I pray that our action guidance.
My rights.
Hello, hello, hello.
My rights. On silence. See, I'm not a bossy next person. Number Walaikum salam. So shall we move the very from the executive and she's not going to be the one who wants to do it. The revision of the very and afterwards, we today as Muslim women in Nigeria proudly join millions of women across the globe in commemorating the 2025 World Hijab Day, themed Hijabis on Silence. This observance provides an important platform for raising awareness about the
and the right of Muslim women to practice their faith without
discrimination. This year's theme, Hijabis on Silence, amplifies the voices of Muslim women who have long been marginalized, mistreated, and have faced discrimination because of their religious dress. In Nigeria, where religious pluralism should be celebrated, Muslim women continue to face structural, legal, and social challenges that undermine their rights and dignity. We find it pertinent to reiterate that the issue of dressing, while it may be a means of cultural identity for some, for Muslims, it is a legislation from God. Allah says in Surah Al-Araf, that's Quran 7, verse 26, that all children of Adam, we have bestowed upon you clothing that conceal what should be concealed, and a fine adornment, and the garment of righteousness that is the best. Again, Allah says in Surah Al-Ahzab, Quran 33, verse 59, that, O Prophet, tell your wives and your daughters and the women of the believers to draw their veils all over their bodies. That would be better, that they should be known as free and respectable women, so as not to be annoyed. And Allah is the ever oft forgiving, most merciful. It is not Arabian culture, neither is it a fashion accessory that one may discard at will. It has also been protected by our laws. The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in Section 38 states, every person shall be entitled to the freedom of thought, conscience, and religion, including the freedom to change his religion or belief, and freedom either alone or in community with others, and in public and in private, to manifest, to propagate his religion or belief in worship, teaching, practice, and observance. Wearing the hijab by the Muslim women is a practical application of this constitutional provision. The Supreme Court, in the case of Ms. Asiat Abdulkarim and another versus Lagos State government and others, has upheld the use of the hijab as being protected by the provisions of Section 38(1) of the 1999 Constitution as amended. Hence, it is a fundamental right. Section 2 of the Constitution further states, a citizen of Nigeria of a particular community, ethnic group, place of origin, sex, religion, or political opinion shall not, by reason only that is such person, be subjected either expressly by or in the practical application of any law enforced in Nigeria or any executive or administrative action of the government to the disabilities and restrictions to which citizens of Nigeria or other communities, ethnic groups, places of origin, religion, or political opinions are not made subject. These constitutional provisions and judicial pronouncements above have clarified this matter, such that even when there is a so-called law or a regulation by an institution, for instance, prohibiting the use of hijab, the hijab still stands, and such law will be null and void due to its inconsistency with the express provisions of the Constitution.
Violation of Supreme Court rulings on hijab in schools. Despite a landmark Supreme Court ruling affirming the right of Muslim students to wear the hijab in educational institutions, some schools continue to enforce discriminatory practices. Even when the hijab is allowed, some teachers and school principals compel students to tuck in their hijabs into their uniforms, effectively diluting the full exercise of their constitutional rights. Some further hide under the garb of registration for exams, such as WHD, to perpetrate these infractions, despite the fact that the exam body has stated several times that hijabs can be worn for both registration and writing exams. Our people in primary schools are also being harassed, particularly those from disadvantaged and less educated background, where their parents feel helpless in asserting their rights. It is also disheartening that when hijabi students who are to be punished, the first punishment usually meted out to them for whatever reason is the removal of the hijabs. Has this ever been done to remove the blood of a student just because she is to be punished? No. However, we must commend the Commissioner of Basic and Secondary Education, Mr. Jami Tolani Hadibalogun, and his team of Tutor Generals, as well as Lagos State House of Assembly, for acting swiftly to correct these infractions as soon as they were reported. While the Lagos State government under the leadership of Governor Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu, has made significant strides in protecting the rights of Muslim women and girls. The same cannot be said for places like Ogun State and sometimes Oyo State. The case of Muslim students versus the International School Ibadan come to mind. Despite the court judgment, the school has still continued its discriminatory practices. The coalition urged the Ministry of Education to ensure compliance with this judgment by continuous sensitization of school authorities and taking disciplinary actions against those who persist in violating students' rights. We also urge parents, caregivers, guardians to continue to educate their wards the proper use of etiquette on the use of hijab and not to participate in trends that diminish the goals contrary to the spirit and intent of the use of the hijab.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Ganiat Omomuruwadola, representing Nasrullah Party Society, NASPAT. Forceful removal of hijabs during police arrests. A particularly egregious violation faced by Muslim women in Nigeria is the forceful removal of hijabs by law enforcement officers during arrests, whether in civil or criminal matters. While it is expected that there should be no arrest in civil matters, this has not been the case. The practice blatantly disregards the constitutional presumption of innocence until proven guilty and amounts to an assault on the dignity and religious rights of Muslim women. It perpetuates trauma and fear among those targeted. A young hijabi lady of about 20 years was accused of theft along with her co-workers by their employer. They were all arrested and she was forced to strip off both her hijab and jilbab. As at this time, her guilt or otherwise has not been determined by any court of law. Yet, she was not only punished but subject to dehumanizing treatment. While we commend the police for securing lives and property, this important task should be done in consonance with our laws. The coalition calls on the Nigerian Police Force and other law enforcement agencies to urgently adopt policies and provide training to officers on respective legislation, including the right of Muslim women to maintain their hijabs during interactions with authorities.
For Form 1 Lagos State. Some discriminatory policies in the Nigerian Navy. We would firstly like to use this medium to thank the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral L. Ogala, for recognizing the rights of our Muslim female students to wear the hijab. The Nigerian Army and Air Force have already implemented the use of hijabs as part of their uniform. The commandants of the Nigerian Navy schools continues to maintain policies that exclude this right. The Honorable Minister of State for Defense, via memo dated 7th November 2024, has stated that the hijab be permitted. However, nothing has changed on ground. This inconsistency undermines principle of fairness and respect for religious diversity within the armed forces. The coalition calls on the leadership of the Nigerian Navy to review its policies and align with the progressive practices of its sister institutions. 4. The mistreatment of women in niqab, face veil. While Muslim women in hijab face these challenges, women who wear the niqab often face heightened discrimination and exclusion from the public services. Many are denied access to essential services or harassed in public spaces. Such treatment is contrary to Nigeria's constitution, guarantees of freedom of religion and equal treatment under the law. Very fresh in our minds is the issue of 2 women in niqab who were arrested by the police. We can also remember the issue of the niqab wearing student that her veil was removed in class by a professor. Muslim women in niqab are constantly denied services that are their rights as Nigerians. Let it be clear that we are not asking for special treatments. Rather, we are asking for accommodations necessitated by our peculiarity. A Muslim woman in niqab can have her identity verified by another female law enforcement or security agent. The COVID period has demonstrated to us how this can be done and simple accommodations that we can make in situations like this. The coalition therefore advocates for inclusive service delivery model that respect the choices of all women, including those who wear the niqab.
Five, challenges in biometric data collection. Biometric data collection processes often require equipment to click on bail, causing discomfort and violating their religious convictions. While the need for accurate identification is acknowledged, there are respective alternatives that balance security with religious sensitivity. In National Identity Management Coordination, as in the past, seems not to have emphasized on important matters. 1. Its relationship with all other agencies taking biometric data and the compulsory applicability of the Nigeria Biometric Standards Regulation of 2017. Quote directly, these guidelines shall apply to the following. A. All ministry departments and agencies, MDAs, statutory bodies, executive bodies, institutions, corporate bodies, and owners of biometric capture equipment or devices in these guidelines referred to as operators, whose licenses, statutory functions, or business functions require biometric capture and authentication for identity management purposes. B. Any person or organization licensed involved in designing, testing, or implementing the National Identification Number, NIN system, NIN compatible systems, or NIL enrollment for the federal government, state government, local governments, and the Federal Capital Territory, and commercial private organizations.
B, any and all users of NIN system, and C, any other category of persons or organization as may be determined by the National Identity Management Commission from time to time. The provision of the regulation concerning the use of the is if an applicant gets a head coverage for religious purposes, if that or on medical grounds, e.g. eye patch. Top of forehead. Foundation for that offense that government agencies adopt protocols allowing private biometric capture by female officials to protect its and rebuild rights of
by 2025.
Our demands and recommendations. The Coalition of Muslim Women Groups in Nigeria calls on policymakers, educators, security agencies, and penalize institutions that flout these decisions. 2. Publicize documents and memos sent to agencies on these issues. We have realized that when these discussions occur, members of the public are usually not aware that their rights have already been protected, and as such, they cannot defend themselves. 3. Promote law enforcement reform. Train officers on religious tolerance and ensure that hijabs are not forcefully removed during arrests and detention. 4. Ensure inclusivity in the military as well as military schools. Encourage Nigerian Navy to permit hijab as part of the official uniform aligning with global best practices. 5. Adopt inclusive service policies. Guarantee equal access to public and private services for women in hijab and uniform without harassment or exclusion. 6. Respect of privacy in biometric procedures. The concerned agency should implement procedures for private biometric data capture by female officials.
A call for solidarity and support. As we commemorate the 2025 World Hijab Day, the coalition invites all Nigerians to stand in solidarity with urge individuals, organizations, and
participate in events, amplify the message of inclusivity, and advocate for the protection of
freedom. Let us truly come together to build a nation where no man is oppressed. Our freedom is not complete without the freedom of Palestinians. Muslim women and children in Palestine for the last years have faced genocide, destruction, and loss of lives. While the ceasefire is welcome development, we hope the international community will work out a more permanent solution to guide the rights and freedom for all. In conclusion, the 2025 theme, Hijab on Silence, symbolizes the determination of Muslim women in Nigeria to assert their rights and break free from discrimination and stereotypes. Through education, advocacy, and community engagement, we aim to foster a society that values diversity and upholds the dignity of all women. We remain committed to creating a future where Muslim women can live, work, and thrive without fear or prejudice. Thank you. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you all. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you very much. About the coalition, the Muslim women in Nigeria, the coalition comprises diverse Muslim women organizations dedicated to promoting the rights, dignity, and empowerment of Muslim women across Nigeria. Through education, advocacy, and interfaith, interfaith engagement. We strive to create a more inclusive and stable society. The coalition includes and members, the Leading Women Organization, North Carolina Party, NASFA Society, Hijab Rights Advocacy Initiative, Muslim Student Society of Nigeria, Lagos State Area Unit, Federation of Muslim Women and Station of Nigeria, Form 1, Lagos, the Criterion Lagos District, International Muslim Women Union, WIPO, Islamic Medical Association of Nigeria, IMAN, Lagos State Secretariat Community Central Mosque, Muslim Public Affairs Center, EMPA, Akwat Muslimat Organization of Lagos, Human Rights Concern, UNIT, Guild of Muslim Professionals, GFP, Practitioners, Nigeria, Human Islamic Foundation, and the Japan Female Forum, Muslim Lawyers Association of Nigeria, MULA, Design of Arts Movement of Nigeria. Now, the current statement of various organizations in the coalition for hijab rights. Next, people are right. My name is Akira Abdullahi, you mentioned that policy makers to enable health that my point. Yeah. For example, pay them because I know she will be is going to be the work to decide for. So I think we should do more for visiting the policy makers, most especially the female women. Thank you. So, right. Okay, so in the speech, you mentioned something about that being treated as a point. You mentioned something about the police or naval officers or something harassing the Hijabis, telling them to keep them off their hijab. The question now is, how do you think that you can eradicate the treatment of the Hijabis?
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Muhammad Jami. My question is this, that, of course, I understand that quite a collaborating people have been the field of demand and request for special notice. So I want to ask that, what you, or how will you assess the level of about we see a lot of gadgets using gadgets. Recently, we saw pupils of secondary school doing a particular challenge whereby these acts of kidnapping and all of that on social media. What are your organizations to ensure that fair job conform of job so that it will just be as if you're asking people not to see whereas those who are very important job activity. Thank you. Thank you. For those that are to this kind of harassment, especially for those that are supporting confidence, can you tell us steps by which you can actually report the situation without being harassed for reporting a way that they are confident that if they report, they get justice and their own thing. My dad, I think Dr. James are calling for immediate. So I have two questions. One is, what are the measures put in place, just like my brother here said, to prevent the abuse of the child? The broader context of people that wear it sometimes don't wear it appropriately. People that wear it sometimes wear it to conceal crime. And it becomes a moral burden for people who feel to justify the abuse. So what are the measures that are put in place if they are not maybe starting future policymakers to advance ways to ensure that the job is properly? The last question is, what are the developments that are in terms of immigration mitigation for some of these abuses well documented? So that just talk about it and go and sleep. Thank you. My name is Graham. Very background. So, why they start as far as so my question is last television. So I wanted to ask you about all the different different aspects of the possibilities of the that and they are come out with them. And that is solution to this thing. Have they been or moving the workers or wherever it's have they been justified? Is there been any apology? Has anything been done to compensate them for what they went through? And how are these all come to the public? Worry about the problem or the atrocities. What about public calls? Has anybody comes to take claim or take claim or also apologize to how that happens? Regarding on silence, regarding without that
at the Iraq, then we not turn it upside and say it was a lie. How do we question this? They are hot, and it's not a lie. Hijabi, my dad.
Thank you very much for your time engaging and thoughtful questions. The gentleman of the press and the audience are well prepared. They have some questions. I will try to answer some, and I think the other organizations here as well would answer the other. I think let me start from the very first one, asking that what are we doing as an organization of Muslim women, to interact with policymakers like legislators, especially now that we have. Well, the speaker is female is really appointed. Maybe that's why we are not really talking much that. But even as recent as December last year, what was the last end of last year, we wrote a petition to the House and to some other ministries. And we are now interacting with the House, members of the House.
In fact, we were summoned and we appeared in front of two separate committees, the Committee on Education as well as the Committee on Religious, I think, Tolerance or on Religion, on the floor of the House. So we have been engaging constantly with the House. When we have issues, we try as much as possible to, liaise with the House, and alhamdulillah, they've been in the past and even till now, they have proven to be valuable partners in securing the rights of Muslim women. So we are grateful for that. We know we might not have done enough. We are hoping to do more in the future, but we have been able to do some engagements in the past. We are looking forward to doing more. So somebody asked about, I think the people that will also answer the questions can contribute. I will just try to put short answers, so they might be able to, elucidate more on some of these questions. That somebody asked how we have been able to eradicate maltreatment of hijabis. Well, this is why this coalition was born. This is why some of our NGOs even exist. For instance, the Hijab Rights Advocacy Initiative was solely set up for the purpose of protecting the rights of Muslim women to wear their hijab and to kind of fight against this discrimination. We know that the nature of human being, we cannot totally eradicate some things from society. For instance, look at when the advocacy against racism has been in place. We cannot say racism has totally been eradicated. Not yet. So as human societies evolve, we would hope that with advocacy, education, things will get better. But you always find out that when people are not in tune with their history, we go full circle. You find out that at a point, racism might come to an all-time low, and then some will just wake up one day and feel that, why can't we do things this way? And then, we have to start all over again. But we have been trying our best. I can say we have made more progress than in the past, but we are not resting on our oars. We are trying our best, to use all legal means to fight this issue. Then the pressman from Vanguard, she asked a very crucial question, that how can non-Muslims support the issue of the hijab? I think sometimes the issue of perspective comes into play. When you talk about the hijab, a lot of people see it as only a religious right, but it is not. The constitutional provision that protects a woman from being discriminated against for wearing hijab is also the same constitutional protection that protects a woman that is non-Muslim from being forced to wear the hijab. Is the same constitutional provision, saying that you have a freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. And so A must not force his religion on B, and B likewise. So it will be wrong for me, for instance, if I matter of human rights, and everyone should be protected and not discriminated against. Today, it is the turn of the hijabis. Tomorrow, you don't know the turn of who it is going to be. So when we come together as a community to say, so far somebody is not doing something detrimental, then they should be allowed, then they should be protected. Now, not to talk of a dressing that promotes morality, that promotes modesty, that promotes, you know, research abound, that promotes a healthy society. The next question, how do we access the level of compromise? Access the level of compromise. Please, I want other organizations to, you know, make I think Let TV have been able to get a Supreme Court judgment pronouncement on the issue of hijab, first ever, so to speak. I think it is progress. Others will also contribute. Then hijabi abuses, somebody, okay, yes. I think the gentleman of the press from the Nation newspaper asked that what are we doing about when we see hijabis abusing hijab? Yes, I personally, or if a person studies maybe things like sociology or even philosophy, you will know that it is in the nature of man to want to use things, you know, good and then use it in the other way. So a lot of things in our society, you can see that, okay, yes, the online, for instance, the use of online banking or the use of technology came to ease a lot of things and then gave birth to something else, gave birth to cyber crime and cyber, what we call Yahoo Yahoo. We will not eradicate the use of the internet and all technological advancements because some people decide to use Yahoo to abuse it. So also, when a lot of people are now comfortable with wearing hijab, you know, in the past, in the 80s, in the 70s, 60s, you can be guaranteed that you cannot find this much hijabis, even from people that profess the faith. So it is just normal that the more a group of people adopt a particular thing, there is no way you will not find people that will use it for what it is not intended. However, this is a call to action for us as hijab advocates, that our advocacy should not only be looking at the other party, that, oh, you are discriminating against us, we are not. We should look within ourselves. We should look at our children. We should look at our wards. We should look at about those that, you know, are our sisters, and try to also take our advocacy to them. That what is the purpose of the hijab? What are the etiquettes of wearing the hijab? So this is a new call of action for us. I'm sure that the way we operate, we have added more work to what we have been doing in the past. While we are fighting against discrimination from outside forces, we must also look inward as Muslim women to see where we are not doing it well, and then to try to correct those places. That is the promise that we are making to you, and we will try our best with Allah's help. I think some other people should answer the other questions, please.
I want to make my voice talk about measures to prevent the abuse of the jobs. It is not only the use of jobs and abuse. Take for instance, the highway robbers, they wear police uniform. A woman, an armed robber can disguise as a pregnant woman just to perpetrate the evil acts. It's not only about the job. And just as you rightly said, some of our judges, they are behaving in a manner that is not even possible to the institution of Islam. The fact is that the majority of us are work in progress. Now, the responsibility of Muslims is to work in that regard. Our children, our neighbors, our siblings, our sisters. Some people are trying to say, what is the conformity between the hijab you are wearing and your manner of dressing? That does not mean we should condemn them. We should find subtle ways of correcting them. Because Islam is about guiding people. So when we see our sisters, our children, going in the direction that's not prescribed by Quran or Sunnah, our own is to use the best approach to guide them to the right path. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teach everyone good guidance. Amen.
I'm just trying to just provide what you already said. First, organization, we have an organization how to have and foundation of call. One, by organizing seminars, showcasing jobs as diversity and making our members empowered with their child. It's when you are part of what you are putting on, you are seeing yourself living in what you are putting on. No matter how they talk to you, you very hard. Also, create more awareness. Public places in our schools, place of work, talking about the job, and reason why our women or our girls use job to prepare their leadership. And also, somebody asked about how would they not deny if they are being around? Because of the need. You don't provide a school or an environment that you are being molested. There will be, you can be able to create like a website whereby you can launch on you with documentary and evidence showing that the child has been molested. So there is no way you can deny it. And there will be a sanction for the violation. And they will track them. Anybody that is complaining that is molested, say they are manners, they are too rigid. Let's encourage them because your exam is your fight. And at any point in time, whereby you are doing by removing your exam or asking is something we should look into as an organization, not giving it to because they need our own company to borrow to be on. So we should come together on the front table and look at the practical on it and how to solve all the organization and our state of the job to our policy. Thank you very much. Before these big steps, don't assume that okay, I heard that these people are like this. I heard that, no, everyone should meet them. Just are full of kindness, compassion, they are good people. What you do as a norms to break the stereotype, don't assume that this is what they are saying about you. Understand what we have in the media, that, the kind of example, let's say that media is fast. So don't assume that it's correct, because it needs the person first. Maybe the best person in the box or at work or whatever. Politics. Don't tell me about my brother. Don't let what people have said about that affect. Meet that personality first. Let that person be who that person is, and then not found that that is our people. So that's what we should do, develop to support what I mean, the other thing is that here is that something wrong or something illegal is being done. That something that is denying one of the others. Not just be quiet. Ask questions. You don't need to fight for that. Just ask questions. Probably anything like other addresses around. When you say in which law? No, when you say this is a fool, and you ask me to start, this man, this short see that girl must be moved by the job first. And she don't feel you are not very good job. That person is cautious at first because you are not giving support because you are on the same time, you are not giving support each other. So that we take that person is setting our place. So those are ways that I do don't think that actually support that is
and they will not be crucified for reporting, they will get them, but at the same time, they will say. One of those things I just want to point out there is most times we have these in most public schools. So there are government and private schools that know that. But mostly private schools that know that only like that public schools like teacher of but if it's not public schools like that, mostly are always public schools. That teachers in that zone goes brings up better of believers now. Better of Christ. Your friend is me else in the sea. If not, this girl does not find assurance anyway. Most of the time, teachers keep quiet because they want to regard as secure themselves. They don't want issues to get. And at the end of the day, these girls are not seeing who's going to let go, and at the end of the day, just be quiet. So I want to charge teachers with this. Actually, that is made on the video, especially the female ones. Yes, because female ones that do that. These children are securely and then they need to come to you, support them and buy inside. I don't care. You just realize that the girl is not as good as sweet girl, and just come all around the couple. And she cannot say, after you want to go, because she's afraid of consequences. They are becoming just go and see. Let's all open our doors today. Then I want to implore the advocate, please, it's possible for us to have rest or take rest or stay waiting before. Yes, we want to shine from time to time. I'm fine. If we have our own suggestion, but so this is for the right application suggestion board. The children are free to go somewhere, and that's somebody who go there, they want to. Children are free to express themselves.
A new plan. We're looking for the access. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Just to add, I want to say that we have and helpline for hijab. Dedicated helpline for hijab. 090-999 hijab. The number again is 090-999 hijab. That's our dedicated line, and it's also on WhatsApp. So any student or anybody that faces any hijab infraction can actually call that line or send a message, and then we will work on it. We usually try to investigate. If there's a third party we can call to investigate, or even the abuser themselves to, maybe the student said, oh, our principal did this. And in fact, yesterday night, as late as 10 p.m., we still had a parent that called us that a principal said removed the hijabs of the students and said they were not even going to use it for WHD registration. Immediately, we got in touch with the TGPS of that district, and they assured us, in fact, the TGPS gave us a call back and assured us that the issue has been settled, that the record has been set straight. We also exhibited the letter we got from WHD stating that you can wear your hijab, to register as well as your exam. You don't need to bring out your ears, you don't need anything. You can wear it normally. And this was yesterday night, as at 10-11 p.m. last night. So just try to put a call through to us or send a message. We will try our best. Though we are limited in resources, we are not able to perform magic, but we always try our best when those people are reported to us. Sometimes we are able to minimize it, like in the case I was saying yesterday night. Now the students and the parents completely anonymous because we do not disclose their identity. But there are some times in the course of investigation, you would need to disclose your identity, because sometimes the other party is insisting that it never happened. But if I am able to say, okay, it happened, this and this and this was what happened that day, then it gives it more credibility and we're able to achieve some things. So it is a delicate balance, but we are trying our best in that regard. My allow me to say
recently, there was a campaign that was online where our students are advancing a particular field in their life, which was so funny. And as far as the necessary was concerned, the more we fight for the use of hijab, we also establish some programs to ensure that the morality behind the business is also ensured. And what are these programs that we do? First, we have coordination. This coordination usually for Friday, Wednesday, and Friday. We also do across the Lagos State. Also, we have weekly food growth and also separated growth, where topics are also treated and just use of our hijab. Also, we have quarterly programs like the WhatsApp, the Muslim and Parents program. Then we also treat topics and just the usage of hijab. We also have annual programs like Saturday Land that we treat here, and another one is coming very soon, inshallah. And also, we also want to follow on our teachers, parents, and guidance, because the Yoruba is having no money to do more. We hope that they are not able to attend all these programs in order to achieve many more to the other as regards the use of the camera and as regards their daily life and activities. I feel a lot of time
Now, thank you very much. In addition to what I was saying, secondary school teachers have been trying and they will continue to try. The NSS the Fair High Foundation, they work with schools. They have worked with many private schools. And they are going to be aligned them. Very important. Children will not be able to make their leadership known as much as required. However, involvement of parents makes it quite easy. A child who is harassed may need to report at home. And so our organizations that are seated here They have members whose children are in schools. When they come up with complaints and reports like this, we should follow them to their schools. It's very difficult for a teacher to walk up to the principal or the WHD or the seniors in the school to stand with a child on the struggle for the job. Our job will be on the line. So the best way, the teacher themselves now work with the parents. Through your children, your students in school, try to know their parents, let the parents be able to stand up for their children. It makes it a lot easier. There are 2 schools in front of everything. I identify this story. And what usually happens is they will ask you, please, who are you to this child? And just a neighbor, no. What's your, you don't have the standard. That's what you tell me. For if I'm the mother, or the father comes to the child in school, please, leave my child, let her wear the hijab. That is mother. And because we don't face one community involved in running these schools, you can do as much as going to CDA to tell them this school in our community, deny my child right to get it down. So what is the head was the child was there, someone of the CDA will go, you don't want such money. The involvement of parents is very good. To continue to work in that place of work, can't say because you want to get the job, then the purpose that will be different. So we want to use all advocacy means. When that fails, that's where we now go to the court. At that point, a lot of policy research, all them into it, something that has happened in Lagos State. In fact, any last of it, I don't think they will make the mistake again. Because Paul Kafaya, whose job was dragged in the bus, of our consultants here on that issue. Since then, we haven't had of such. Because we went as far as going to the court, and the conductor was arraigned. We spent years on the case. So it's have been quiet, have been good time about it. Quiet. We don't good time. Don't advocate. If advocacy fails, then we now do of the court. But the issue of the court, don't who get results immediately. 6 years. And when you are doing those, the total standard remains. The time to live in there is good. The system will not where the justice work. If advocacy work, most times that will not work at all. The results we have achieved so far stem from there. I remember the case of Asia, Abukeri and Lagos State. So now know the way up to the Supreme Court. Several years, our partner of President Memory, he went on the case in life and the other players continue. It's not something that happens immediately. It goes on and on. And lastly, the struggle between falsehood and truth is forever. We continue to struggle to be Muslims. We continue to struggle to clear our job. We continue to struggle to get your life. Nobody started your life for the purpose of struggle for you. So the struggle continues. I'll go to the next step. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think I want to corroborate what you have said by giving a personal practical example. So this happened to my daughter in secondary school. And the fact that we parents, we have to take the case of when it happens to us. We don't just push the children to hijab advocacy alone. So when it happened to my daughter, there was this teacher that met her at the gates of her school, not even inside the school premises. So she forcefully removed her hijab. So Barrister Rolu, the hijab rights advocacy chairperson, also took up the case when the parents took it up. And the long and short of the story is, at the end of the day, the principal, the affected teacher, and the tutor general, the permanent secretary of the district. In fact, it was the tutor general, the permanent secretary in that district. When the case affected her, she took it up on her head and she had to summon the principal. In fact, it was the principal that brought my child home on that set day. And she was asked to report at the district every day. And sadly, it was towards the end of her service. So she was moving towards her retirement. So I have people coming to me in my office to beg me to withdraw the case. But at the end of the day, the hijab arrived. So we have to remain resilient and stand by the cause. May Allah help us. Amen. Do you have more questions? Contribution or hand? Someone is facing about.
I'm not supposed to. I just abẹ́ máa ń gbogbo àbálẹ̀ tó sọ fún mi ṣe bá wá fún mi. Mo ṣe sí láyìn lálẹ́ àná lára sí. Ẹ má jẹ́ máa fẹ́ láyé pẹ̀lú ẹja pípa. Àwọn máa ń lọ ní ìṣẹ́. Gbogbo wa náà la wà ní trauma. Gbogbo wa náà la wà ní trauma. Well, stakeholder, we are in trauma. On silence. On silence. Myra. Thank you very much. I think I will have a personal consult with the gentleman of the press because she's bringing many ideas. In hijab rights advocacy, we try to do something like that. However, I can say it categorically. Out of all the hijabis you see, 99.9% have been discriminated against. Whether the person realizes it or not. So even all of us here, we've been victims one way or the other. And somehow it has given us this strength of character to be able to withstand some things maybe some people might not withstand, although it is not a good way to live. For instance, if I'm going to, say, apply for driver's license, I'm sure maybe for the average person is just looking at, okay, have I paid? Have I registered well? There is this CD that they give you to watch or a book that you have to read. Okay, let me read it because you take tests at FRSC office so that I can pass. But I can tell you 90% of us are already calling me to say, I want to do my driver's license capturing tomorrow. Hope they will not tell me to remove my hijab. Another person, even preempting the discrimination. And they might get there and they may not be discriminated against. But the thing is that I can tell you that you will lose sleep a night over. Even though I will say I'm an hijab advocate, when I want to renew my international passport, I still have to go in prayer to say I don't want any wahala where I'm going. So all of us have suffered one discrimination or the other, whether at work, whether at even sometimes you enter public transport and they say, don't sit beside me, you people are always smelling. That person might even have a foul smell than I do. But just that, you understand, that's what stereotype, you understand. So I can say we might not be able to take up on each other, but usually when we have programs, we try to encourage each other. We try to, serve as steps to one another. Even it gets to you, no matter who you are, at a point it gets to you. So it is normally a part of, let me say, the hazard of the job of wearing a hijab that you will definitely face discrimination, whether you are aware of it or not. However, we'll take it a step further. Sometimes the people that we have advocated for in the past, we try to reach out to them. For instance, there is this girl, Abida Taladi, when she was in secondary school. Now she's almost, I think she's almost graduating, if not graduating. She went to University of Learning, she read engineering. And while she was secondary school, while she was going to get to SS1, was when the school refused that they were not going to register if she does not apply. All I have to say. Yes, saying that, oh, when I get to the airport, you pray that I want. Don't let them tell me to do my job before I put the plane. Don't let them say, or that one is on my passport. Or you want to apply for a visa. Even though the regulation says that you can wear your hijab, I don't think anybody wearing hijab is doing it. Some of our tests is there. You understand? So we all have that. You understand? And besides,